Welcome to the Sheffield United way, and in today's video we're going to be doing player ratings for the 24-25 season. That's Michael Cooper all the way down to Ryan 𝗚𝗍𝗍. It's a 1 to 10 scoring system, but just to clarify, the player must have 5 games or more under his belt to receive a rating. So that expels 𝗍𝗫𝗏𝗏, 𝗍𝗫 𝗫𝗏, Austin Trusty, Owen Hampson, Anis Ben Slimani, 𝗍𝗫𝗏𝗏, Billy Blacker, Louis Marsh, and Harry Boyes, who unfortunately has just been released by the Blades. So let's get stuck into this, shall we? Michael Cooper, 9. Cooper has been a real calming influence in the goal and for the defenders this season, especially after the 𝗍𝗫𝗏𝐴𝐕𝐏𝐻 horror story of last season. But saying that, he's actually doing pretty well in Turkey. Was it us? Were we the problem? But Michael Cooper's not only been a steady pair of hands though, because he's saved us on countless occasions with razor sharp reflexes, unbelievable saves. And let's not forget him coming out for crosses, either claiming them or punching them away, just making the right decision. That 9 out of 10 is the joint second best score in this whole video. So somebody's got a 9.5 out of 10, so I'll let you have a guess in the comments right now to who that could be. Adam Davis, 5. I don't think anyone's really going to have a massively strong opinion on this one. But what I will say, he's been relatively steady when called upon. But the fact that he played 5 games and one of those against QPR at home in the first home game of the season, he made a bit of an error. That's probably the reason why I went a little bit lower than what I probably would have done normally. 𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗏𝗏, 7. Let's talk about Alfie now. And after his pretty good start to the season, you know, being a cool head at the back, he ended up being banished to the bench and sometimes worse. In the 31 games played, I would say he was pretty solid for at least 25, if not 28 of those. So I'm giving him a 7. At the end of the day, if 𝗵𝗲 𝗬𝗏𝗏, who's a defensive midfielder, comes in at right back and takes your place and more, yeah, probably don't deserve more than a 7. Sam McCallum, 7. What a fantastic understudy to Harrison Burroughs. I believe it was just under 40 games that he contributed in, and he never put a foot wrong for me. That left-hand side is sorted for me. No need to come in and improve it. I think they both worked really, really well together. And I'll be happy if they do the same thing next season as they did last season. Rob Holding, 6. Now, I can't really sit here and wax lyrical about a bloke that we only saw 11 times. And most of those were off the bench just to see games out. Saying that, I'd like to see us re-sign him on a permanent next season because I think there's a real player in there. But only if we actually use him next season. Harry Souttar, 9.5. Souttar barely put a foot wrong in a Sheffield United shirt, and for me, just made everyone else better around him. Ēnel was incredible next to him, and Robbo was definitely better too. Also, I feel like he was sometimes like an unofficial captain, the way that he organised that back line. And if it wasn't for the injury, I think we'd have achieved 95 to 100 points and may have snuck into the top 2. And if he's going to be fit for the start of next season, I want to see him back in a red and white shirt. A red and white Sheffield United shirt, let's clarify. Harrison Burroughs, 8.5. Hold my hands up, I think he's really unlucky not to get a 9 out of 10. But I think being isolated on that left-hand side when Gus inevitably came inside left him a bit high and dry at times. And his defensive qualities aren't quite perfect, but let's be honest, if they were perfect, he wouldn't be playing football for Sheffield United in the Championship. His attacking qualities got him into the Championship team of the season, and his valuable assists, goals and penalties were just priceless, weren't they? Ahmed Hodzic, 7.5. For me, a somewhat mixed season for Ēnel. A great start with Souttar, and then a mediocre second half of the season with Robbo. Sometimes he really showed the quality that he possesses, but when he come up against a lot of top-end Championship strikers, he was somewhat found wanting. For me, though, he's still our best centre-back that we own, so I want to see him at Bramall Lane next season. Jamie Shackleton, 2. Shackleton came in as a backup for me, and he didn't even really end up being that in the end because of that torrid injury spell this season. But unbelievably to me, the lad ended up clocking up 12 appearances, which is wild to me. Mostly because I don't really remember any of them, and there was certainly no highlights in there. Harry Clark, 4.5. We've used a lot of right backs this season, haven't we? For me, Clark started off okay, but a little bit jittery. And given more games, he could have really nailed down that right back spot, but got injured, went back, never to be seen again. Almost Charlie Good legendary status, but yeah, not quite there. Jack Robinson, 7. So I've tried not to let my previous Jack Robinson opinions cloud this season's rating. And actually, he's been pretty solid. I think his ceiling is always going to be a bit lower than 𝗏𝗏's. So that's probably why I'm a bit more critical of 𝗏𝗏. But given Jack's quality, I think he's had a pretty decent second half of the season. I still don't think he's a top-end championship defender, but it's not really his fault. We keep giving him contracts, and we keep playing him week in, week out. Reese Norrington-Davies, 3. Yet another season blighted by injury for Reese. When he did play, he didn't seem to be at the level of our left backs and centre backs. Even 2 or 3 levels lower than Jack Robinson for me. I think he could now be a left centre back, but we don't play him anymore. That all being said, I think when his contract eventually runs out, he'll be looking for another club. Sorry, Reese. 𝗍𝗵𝗲 𝗕𝗿, 7. From someone whose promising career is probably on a downwards trajectory, to one that is almost certainly going upwards. I've said it once, and I'm going to say it again on this one. If it wasn't for the injuries, 𝗍𝗵 could have easily nailed down that right back spot and stayed there all season. He's so exciting going forward. And if we can keep him fit next season and playing the majority of the games, I am absolutely certain that he'll be a really, really important player for us. And I hate to put this sort of pressure on a lad, but I think he's going all the way to the top. Kyle Walker-esque, but better. Hamza Chowdhury, 8. Now, this could easily have been an 8.5, but being shoehorned into right back, I don't think we saw the best of him in his best position. But I think he did a brilliant job for us at right back, and if we never see him in a Blade shirt ever again, I think he'll be really, really fondly remembered for this season. 𝗚𝗿𝗏𝗏𝗏, 8.5. Oh, I hate to say it, but if 𝗚𝗿𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 does not get injured 12 games into this season, he's probably taking the Player of the Year trophy, scoring 6 to 8 more goals, and we could have even been promoted. I genuinely believe that. And for me, his rating shouldn't be downgraded just because of this unlucky injury that he picked up. And I think he would have just got better and better as the season went on, and he'd have probably picked up a 9 out of 10 or a 9.5 out of 10. Gus Harmer, 9. Even though Gus took all the accolades this season, I can't help but feel that he just had another gear. Whether he was held back by the position that he played in, the players around him, or maybe even an injury. Because this season, he's missed games through injury, he's gone off injured. I wonder whether, and I've said this offline a few times, I wonder whether he's been carrying an injury for a lot of the season. Who knows? And let's be honest, if that is the case and he's still won Player of the Year, that's even more impressive. Calamo Hair, 7.5. Where do we start with Calamo Hair? He had a great start, a ropey 10 games, a brilliant 10 games, was left out a lot, and then was brilliant off the bench in the playoffs. So it's almost impossible to rate Calamo Hair, but I've gone for a 7.5, could have easily been an 8. But the same with all of these ratings. Let us know what you think in the comments, especially this one, Calamo Hair, because I really found it hard to rate Calamo Hair. Vinnie Souza, 8.5. Even though Vinny had some short injury spells, I just think he was so important to the way that we played. I think he's 100% deserved that 8.5 rating, if not more. And I just hope that in a year's time, I'm going to be sat in this very seat giving him another rating, because if that happens, we're in a really, really good position to get promoted. Tom Davies, 6.5. Unfortunately, another season where Tom Davies has spent a lot of the season on the treatment table. But even though it was just 1 goal and 1 assist, he's added something to his game. The goal against Sunderland at Bramall Lane was a massively important one to us at the time. And I do feel like he's different gravy when it's on the pitch. Hopefully next season we see even more of the lad. Andre Brooks, 7. A sprinkling of brilliance from Andre Brooks this season, but he's been largely absent from the starting 11. 5 goals in his first proper season, despite not playing as many minutes as he would have hoped. It's not that bad. I'm hoping that it all comes together for him next season because he has got all the talent in the world to be a Premier League footballer. 𝗍𝗫𝗫, 9. I'm sick of waxing lyrical about this boy because what a breakthrough season he's had. 49 games played in all competitions, and the majority of those were in the first team, helping us achieve those 90/92 points. A real superstar, and he fully deserves to be rubbing shoulders with Michael Cooper and Gus Harmer as a 9 out of 10. Rian Brewster, 7. Now, I'm 99.9% sure that this is the highest rating we've ever give Rian Brewster, especially as he's largely been playing out of position. But the biggest achievement for Rian is playing 44 games this season. He'll be absolutely chuffed with that. And at time of recording, he's still negotiating a new contract with Sheffield United. So if that does happen and he plays for us next season, he'll be looking to add more minutes, more goals, and more assists. Kemar Moore, 7. A mixed season for Kemar for me. He came into the Blade side as our number 1 striker, was then ousted by Tyrese Campbell, then picked up an injury. All that being said, he still scored 7 goals. At the back end of the season, we actually looked better when he was playing up front. Will he be remembered for that wonderful strike away at Cardiff? That penalty he forced away at Bristol City in the playoffs? His home goal in the playoffs? Probably not, because he'll be remembered for that pass that he gave away to Tommy Watson to win the playoffs for Sunderland. Football is such a cruel game. 𝗍𝗫𝗫 and 𝗍𝗫𝗫, 7.5. Even though I've chosen these ratings, I think 𝗍𝗫 is lucky to be getting a 7.5. But if he was fit and firing all season long, would have probably been promoted top 2. This lad had an unbelievable purple patch, but his form definitely wasn't always red hot. And the back end of the season as well, he picked up too many injuries, which led him to not even be a substitute in the playoff final. A sad end to 𝗍𝗫𝗫𝐻's short Sheffield United career. Such an exciting player to watch though. 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵, 6.5. A really disappointing season for 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵, both at Southampton and then at Sheffield United, especially given his performances last season for us. I think we all expected 𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵𝗵 would be out on that left-hand side and Gus would come into the middle. But due to his lack of form, injury problems, and also Wilder just sticking him on that right-hand side, it wasn't a great time for him at Sheffield United this last season. All that being said, he picked up 4 goals and 3 assists, which compared to the rest of the attackers, is pretty good going. I think the reason why I've rated him so low is because I just expected a lot more from him this season. I thought it would be the difference between going up and staying down. Tyrese Campbell, 9. What a revelation Tyrese Campbell's been. This is crazy to say, but only 12 goals and 9 assists. And the reason why I say it's crazy is because it actually seems really, really low for him. Because he scored so many important goals, and his playoff final goal could easily have been the goal that took us to the promised land. I'll be honest, I never expected to see Tyrese Campbell be as good as what he has been this season. And maybe the fact that he didn't really have much of a pre-season, he came to us injured. I think that's maybe the reason why we've struggled to get more than sort of 65 minutes out of him this season. And I am 99.9% sure that he would have been a 9.5 if we'd have got 90 minutes every week out of him. 𝗍𝗫𝗫𝗫, 6.5. Rian came into the side when we had loads of injuries. He scored a really, really important goal away at Bristol City, getting us back into that game before Harrison Burroughs scored that winner. And he actually led the line pretty well to say that he's got such limited first team experience. Saying that, I think next season he will be going out on loan because we've got strikers in abundance. And I hope he does really well, scores loads of goals and comes back to us a different man. Tom Cannon, 6. Unfortunately, Tom didn't live up to the hype, but he is our player. So let's hope next season is his year. Funnily enough, if this was a Stoke City fan channel, he'd probably be rated at a sort of 8 or even possibly a 9. But for us, he only scored 1 goal and assisted 1 goal, which is pretty disappointing given the 10 million price tag that we put on his head. And finally, the man you've all been waiting for, Chris Wilder, 8.5. Chris Wilder's stock has massively risen this season. Now, let's start off by saying that he administered a complete rebuild. John Egan, gone. Ollie Norwood, gone. Ollie McBurney, gone. There's a lot of players there with a lot of quality, but more than just quality, a lot of experience and some big voices in that changing room. In the summer, you've got to say that Chris and Prince Abdullah did some really good business. You could say we had a really good starting 11, but the squad may not have had the strength and depth that Leeds and Burnley have got. However, looking at us against the other playoff teams, it looked like we got a much better squad, a much stronger squad. And yes, the new owners coming in, signing Tom Cannon for 10 million, obviously is always going to give you another option. Bringing in some really solid loan signings as well. That bolstered the squad. But you've got to take your hat off to Wilder for the squad that he ended up putting together. And not even just that, because they've all then got to gel together. And really, we flew out of the block. So that clearly shows that the team gelled really well together really quickly. From speaking to some of the players that the Player of the Year do, it just feels like they've all bought into Chris Wilder's philosophy, system, and, you know, just his passion for Sheffield United. Chris Wilder managed that team to a 92-point finish. 90 points, says the table, which most seasons would have seen us finish top 2. Yes, I agree, in the big games, we sometimes came a cropper. And the biggest game of all, we were 1-0 up and lost it 2-1. And I think that's mostly the reason why this rating isn't a little bit higher. I still think 8.5 is a really good rating. But if we'd have got promoted, it'd have been a 9.5. Chris said last season, away at Newcastle, when we were relegated, fans are walking out of Bramall Lane. You won't be walking out of Bramall Lane next season. And he was right. It was disappointing in the end. It was. But Chris Wilder has done a fantastic job. And I think he more than deserves that 8.5. That's me all done for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think of my ratings. And I'm going to type out all the players' names with a dash next to them and pin it in the comments. All you got to do, copy and paste all the names and tell me what you would have rated them. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗷𝗚. 𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗷𝗚. 𝗚𝗿𝗲𝗷𝗚.